back out here again for the third time on the highways and hedges, the Chief Best Concourse on this December 21st on this Sunday afternoon. So with that, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to and the Heavenly Father, the true name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, by Hashem, in the name of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Those are the true names of the ancient Paleo Hebrew, the lost Modash tongue. And I say Barak Thumb to the elders and apostles, Wahakwaf, and I say Shalom. And I'm going to get to the Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. As we see, Russia versus Ukraine is intensifying. It says prophecies about God in the future invasion of Israel. And this is Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 1. It says, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Ezekiel 38, verse 2, it says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog and Magog, and the chief prince of Meshach, Tubal, and prophesy against him. But right, just like our forefathers did, now doing the same spirit of our forefathers, prophesying against Gog and Magog, the chief prince of Meshach, Tubal, and prophesy against it now, so more than ever in modern day our times. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 3, it says, thus said Yahweh Hashem Shai, behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach, Tubal, rise to this day. And this is Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 4. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth with all thy army, horse and horsemen, all of them clothed for all sorts of armor, even the great couple book shoes, all the hand and swords. Right, so Russia is still going to continue to be in that warlike mindset. As I mentioned again previously, even though they open to dialogue to try to ease the tensions between the nations, especially between the European Union and NATO, and try to end the conflict between Russia. But the Heavenly Father is going to continue to put that mindset in Russia to go continue to go against Ukraine. So Russia, they still going to be in that warlike mindset, you know. And that's why a couple of days ago, you had Russia said they're going to deploy the Street Minstry to be deployed over there to Belarus. So that shows that the tensions are really stirring up between the European Union and NATO and the U.S. led bloc of the United States, all of them together going against Russia and Belarus. All that's going to stir up to the Third World War. So this Russia-Ukraine situation is only going to intensify. And this is Ezekiel chapter 38. You have Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5. It says Persia, right, Elam, right, the Iranians of Persia, of Elam. It says Ethiopia, the Cushites, and Libya are put, but all of them were shield of him. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 6, it says Gomer and all his bands, the house of Tobimor of the north quarters, all his bands, many people with you. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 7, it says, be thou prepared for thyself and all thy. Hey, what's up, mom? This is Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 7. It says, be thou prepared for thyself and all thy companies that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Right, so that's it's like Russia. Hey, what's up, mom? This is Ezekiel chapter 30, verse 7. It says, be thou prepared for thyself and all thy companies that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Right, so Russia is going to be a guard to these nations of Right, so Russia is going to be a guard to these nations of Iran, Ethiopia, Libya, and Turkey. That's what we see in these times. This is Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 8. It says, after many days thou shalt be visited in a lot of years, that is brought back out of the land, that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many years, and against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but is brought back from out of the nations, that dwell safely of all of them. And this is Ezekiel 38, verse 9. It says, thou shalt ascend and come up like a storm, and it shall be like a cloud to cover the land, and thou and all thy bands, many people with thee. Right, so Russia, hey, they still going to be in that warlike mindset. And it makes perfect sense because Russia is going to be a guard to these nations of Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya, and Turkey going against the Israel Defense Force. Because, the Israel Defense Force, as of lately, I would say like a couple of weeks ago, they was on high alert because a potential of a military building up invading over there in the Golden Heights. So that's why it makes perfect sense. You got the Israel Defense Force dealing with an increasing ongoing back and forth of a multi-fold war tensions, even though they're trying to enter the second phase of this peace deal that they have with Hezbollah. But you still going to have the Israel Defense Force using airstrikes against Hezbollah over there in Lebanon and tensions over there in Syria, because it's still going to be a cross-border conflict heating up between these old nations, you know. And that's why it makes perfect sense, because Russia and Syria and the pro-Iranian groups and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, And the proxy groups, they all going to team up together. They're going to be going against the Israel Defense Force. That's why Russia is going to be going to these nations, Iran, Ethiopia, Libya, and Turkey, right along with the proxy groups. And the pro-Iranian groups, they all going to team up together, right along with the Dragons of Arabia. They all going to be going against the Israel Defense Force of their military building. All is going to lead to increasing cross-border conflicts heating up throughout that whole area. And between the borders of Israel, Syria, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, the Palestinian territory, those tensions are only going to continue to increase. Over there in the Mediterranean Sea, over there in the Red Sea, over there in the Arabian Sea. So these tensions are only going to stir up. And it's going to lead up to the Third World War. And that's why we're seeing Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, is in progress as we're speaking. And this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 39 and verse 1. It says, therefore, thou son of man, prophesied against God and say, thus saith Yahweh Shem Yahshua. It says, behold, I am against thee, O God, Shebresh and Meshach and Tubal. Ezekiel 39 verse 2, it says, and I will turn thee back and leave but the sixth part of thee, and I will cause to come up from the north parts and will bring thee upon the mount of Israel. Ezekiel 39 verse 3, it says, and I will smite thy bow at thy left hand, and I will cause thy arrows to fall thy right hand. And this is the prophet Isaiah chapter 13 in verse 17. Right, it says, Babylon will fall to the Medes. Isaiah 13 verse 17, it says, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which they should not regard silver, and as for gold, they should not delight in it. Right, so as for gold and silver, they should not delight in it. So the tension between Russia and the United States, and that's only going to continue to increase from a military perspective, from a nuclear war perspective, from an economical perspective, and from the oil sanction perspective, all those categories that I just mentioned. So the tension is only going to heat up between Russia and Russia and the United States, even though it's been on and off back and forth, but it's going to continue to heat up, This is Isaiah 13 verse 18. It says their bows shall dash their bows, those arrows, those missiles. It says their bows also shall dash the young men into pieces. And they shall have no pity. They shall have no pity the fruit of thy womb, and their eyes shall spare no children. Right, so their eyes shall spare no children. And as for gold and silver, they shall not delight in it. Isaiah 13 verse 19. It said, in Babylon, and the glory of the kingdoms, and the blood of the Chaldeans, excellency shall be as when Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. Right, that's going to happen once again. And the body have Shem Yahshua. But definitely want to see Russia versus the United States. That's just only going to escalate on a daily basis. As I mentioned again, even though it's been on and on back and forth. And this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, and Shalom to the elders and apostles for Akim Akwath, and Shalom to the Akim Akwath that's on the common board. And peace and blessings to you and yours, your household. And as always, and I say Shalom. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 3, verse 8. It says, in a time to love, in a time of HATE, in a time of war, in a time of peace. Right? So we're living in a time of HATE, and we're living in a time of war. And so that's why we see wars and rumors of wars, nation against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, heating up on an everyday basis. And I'm going to go all the way up to verse 1. Right? It says, a time for everything. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 3, verse 1. It says, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose in heaven. Right? For there is a time to seasons and every purpose in heaven, because we're living in modern day biblical science and science of time. Ecclesiasticus chapter 3, verse 2, and a time to be born, and a time to eat, and a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. And this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 3 and verse 3. It says, in a time to KILL, in a time to heal, in a time to break down, in a time to build up. And this is the book of Ecclesiasticus chapter 3 and verse 4 that reads, in a time to weep, in a time to laugh, in a time to mourn, in a time to dance. And this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 3 and verse 5. It says, in a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together, in a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embrace. Ecclesiasticus chapter 3 verse 6 and it reads, it says, in a time to keep, in a time to lose, in a time to keep, in a time to pass away. And this is the book of Ecclesiasticus 3 verse 7. It says, in a time to reign, in a time to sow, in a time to decide, in a time to speak. Right, so what's that? Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 3, for the vision shall appoint a time, but the end shall speak, not lie, tarry, wait for it, because it should come. And do not tarry. Right, so we in these modern day times and seasons of prophecies that are about to come to pass, we feel, and we start to see that increase on a day-to-day basis. And this is the book of Ecclesiasticus 3 verse 8. It says, in a time to love, and in a time of HATE, and in time of war, and time of peace. Right, so we're definitely in a time of war, in a time of HATE, so that's all that we want to continue to increase. And Wadi Haba Shem Yahshua. And this is the prophet Jeremiah chapter 28. Yep, Jeremiah chapter 28 verse 8. Yep, Jeremiah chapter 28. Jeremiah 28, verse 7. It says, nevertheless, hear thou now this word that I speak in the ears of all the people. Jeremiah 28, verse 8. It says, the prophets that have been before thee and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and great kingdoms of war, evil, and a pestilence. Right, so we out here prophesying unto the nations, and we're prophesying against great countries and great kingdoms of war, evil, and a pestilence. So this is what we out here prophesying about. Yep, Jeremiah chapter 28, verse 9. It says, the prophet which prophesied peace, one of the word of the prophet should come to pass, then shall the prophet be known that Yahweh should be sent. Right, so these are prophecies, they're going to come to pass and fulfilled, just like the Heavenly Father has should have sent the prophets of old. Now he's sent the prophets in these times as well too, because these prophecies are going to come to pass and fulfilled. So we're going to continue to prophesy against great countries and great kingdoms of war, evil, and pestilence on an everyday basis. Hey, and this is Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 46. Yeah, this is the prophet Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 46, and it reads, yeah, Jeremiah chapter 51 verse 46. It says, and least your heart faint your fear for the rumor that should be heard in the land. And a rumor should come both 1 year after that, another year should come a rumor, and advise the land rule gets ruled. Right, so we should hear increasing rumors after another year, and then it should be a rumor and advise the land rule gets ruled. Just like that was happening in ancient times, now we're sitting once again in modern day times. And this is Luke 21 and verse 25. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun, and the moon, and the stars upon the earth. Distress of nations will perplex the seabirds born. Right, so on a daily basis, that we're going to be seeing these signs in the sun, and the moon, and the stars, and upon the earth, distress of nations will perplex the seabirds born that Yahweh mentioned. And this is the prophet Joel. Matter of fact, Isaiah 34 verse 8. Then I'm gonna get to that Joel the 3rd chapter. But this is a controversy at Zion, and this is the prophet Isaiah chapter 34. Yeah, Isaiah 34 and this is the prophet Isaiah chapter 34. Matter of fact, I'm just going ahead and Joel the 3rd chapter. Phone tweaking. Yeah, this is the book of Joel chapter 3 verse 9. Got phone bugged out. Joel chapter 3 verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare. Yep, it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty man. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Right, so let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. That's why we're seeing this continue to be proclaimed among the Gentiles and armed nations. So we're seeing the Heavenly Father putting that warlike mindset of these armed nations on a daily basis that the prophet Joel was mentioned. The prophet Joel was mentioned that the Heavenly Father is going to put that warlike mindset of these armed nations on a daily basis. That's why we're seeing wars and rumors of wars, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. So all is going to continue to increase. This is Joel 3 verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty man. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Right, just like I brought out that Ezekiel the 38th chapter, that Russia, they still going to be that warlike mindset. And as you're seeing Russia versus Ukraine, that's intensifying. And we're seeing Russia versus NATO and the European Union, that's been intensifying on and on, back and forth. And all these nuclear escalations and tensions are heating up between the nations on a day-to-day basis. And this is Joel chapter 3 verse 10. Just like I mentioned, the tensions are heating up over there in Western Asia. That's only going to continue to increase. And all it's going to lead into the Third World War. And this is a major prophecy that's going to kind of pass the field, the Third World War. Right along with that Revelation 13 verse 16 to verse 18, the pushing of the end on TV as well too. This is Joel chapter 3 verse 10. It says, beat your plowshares and swords and the pointing hooks into spears, let the weak sound strong. Right, let the weak sound strong of these are arms of nations, battling against one another, building up their nuclear capability. And let the weak sound strong, that's what we're seeing. Joel 3 verse 11. It says, assemble yourselves to come all ye heathen, right, the armies of the other nations, and gather yourselves together round about thither to cause like mighty ones to come down, or Yahweh. Joel chapter 3 verse 12, it says, let the heathen be awakening and come up into the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there I will sit and judge all the heathen round about. Right, so the Heavenly Father is going to sit and judge all the heathen nations round about as gather them up over there in Western Asia. Joel 3 verse 13, it says, put ye in the second for the heart's grip, come ye down for the presses forward and fast on the floor for the weakest great. Joel 3 verse 14, it says, multitudes and the multitudes and the battle decision for the day of Yahweh's in the battle decision. Right, for the day of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh's in the battle decision, arm getting arm God one. This is Joel chapter 3 verse 15. It says, and the sun and the moon shall be darkening, and the stars shall withdraw her shining. Joel 3, verse 16. See how much percentage I got left on my phone? 5%, I'm still good. Joel chapter 3 and verse 16, it says, and the power of Yahweh shall roar out of Zion, and the utter his words from Jerusalem, and the heavens and earth shall be shaken. But Yahweh will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel. Right, so Yahweh Shema Shah is going to be strength for the children of Israel, the actual real Israelites. Yahweh Shema Shah. Joel chapter 3 verse 17, it says, so shall you know that Yahweh your power dwelling into Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem, right, Jerusalem, say people for his place. It says, and behold it, right, help the set apart unto Yahweh Shema Shah once again. It says, no stranger shall pass through the door, right, strangers of other nations. It says, Judah will be blessed. And this is Joel chapter 3 verse 18. It says, and it shall come to pass in the day that the mountains shall drop down in new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and all the rivers of Judah shall flow with waters. It says, and the fountain shall come up. It says, and the fountain shall come forth out the house of Yahweh, shall water the valley of Shittim. And this is the prophet Joel chapter 3 verse 19. It says, Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness, for the violence against the children of Judah, and because against the violence for the violence against the children of Judah, because they had shared into blood in their land. Right, Zechariah 11 verse 5, who says the slave, who sells not guilty, and still to this day. Ezekiel 35 verse 5, because Esau still got that perpetual, not like his brother Jacob, still to this day. Joel 3 verse 20, it said, but Judah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem for generation to generation. Right, so Judah and Jerusalem is going to dwell for generation to generations. And Wadi Haba Shema Shah. Joel chapter 3 verse 21, it says, for I will cleanse their blood, have my cleanse for Yahweh dwelling into Zion. Right, so Yahweh Shema Shah dwelling into Zion. So I'm gonna go ahead and close it out because my phone is only on 5%, so it's locking for that. Hey, so back out here again for the third time on this Sunday afternoon, on this December the 21st, 2025. December the 21st, 2025, I meant to say. Hey, so out here on the highways and hedges, the chief place of concourse, lifting up the names of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Abashai, right along with the elders and the apostles were occupied through Wadi Haba Shema Shah for that. So with that, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to say Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, or Prophet Dash. And the Heavenly Father, true name is Yahweh, and his only begotten Son, Bahashem, in the name of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew of the lost one gospel tongue. And I said Barakathum to the elders and apostles, Wa'akim, Wa'akwaf. Until next time, I will say Kwame Sharala and the Ball. Shalom.